Hey, I did one of these about football not too long ago. You know, it's easy to talk shit about something that you truly hate. Much harder when the subject is something that you actually love. Nevertheless, in the interest of fairness, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about baseball. The designated hitter. There are highly technical arguments for why the designated hitter is a bad idea, and also for why it's a good idea, for that matter. But I come at this purely from a fan's perspective. I'd just rather see the pitcher have to hit. It's more fun to watch that way. Interleague play. Yes, I'm one of those. But I'm not a purist, I promise you. In fact, if this series were called 6 Stupid Things, baseball purists would be on this motherfucker because they sap the game of its fun and vitality like nothing else. But come on, is it so wrong to pine for the days when the American and the National League remained separate until the World Series? I don't think so. The World Baseball Classic. Why does this even exist? When it was founded in 2005 by Major League Baseball, people talked about how it was an attempt to create baseball's version of the World Cup. The thing is, that already existed. It's actually called the Baseball World Cup. It's been around since 1938. The United States has even won it 4 times, most recently in 2009, when the U.S. team finished 4th in the World Baseball Classic. Wouldn't it have made more sense for Major League Baseball to just throw its weight behind that already existing Baseball World Cup? No, instead we got the World Baseball Classic, which is redundant, means nothing, and the players hate because it cuts into spring training. I can't imagine why nobody watches it. The Yankees. How much do I hate the Yankees? Think back to the autumn of 2001. The nation was still in shock after the terrorist attacks of 9/11. Fires still burned in the rubble where the Twin Towers had once stood in New York. The World Series that year was contested between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the New York Yankees, who seemed to have not only their scarred but resolute city, but the nation as a whole behind them. No city had ever coveted a sports championship the way New York coveted that one. No city had ever seemed to need the consoling and symbolic victory of a championship the way that New York needed that World Series in 2001. And after a thrilling 7-game classic series, it came down to the bottom of the 9th when Luis Gonzalez hit a single that drove in Jay Bell from third, and the Diamondbacks won the World Series and the Yankees lost. And I was so fucking happy. You have no idea how fucking happy I was because the Yankees lost. They fucking lost. Oh God, they wanted it. They wanted it so bad. It just seemed it would have been so perfect if New York had won the World Series, and they didn't. They lost. They fucking lost, and it, oh, you could just tell it broke their hearts. Oh God, it felt so good. It felt so fucking good. God. Gambling as unforgivable sin. Pete Rose is an idiot and most of his problems are of his own making. That's not the point. Pete Rose is also one of the most outstanding players in the history of professional baseball. Major League Baseball's all-time hits leader. That is the point. Yes, when he was player manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Pete Rose bet on baseball. That should be against the rules. That kind of behavior should be discouraged. I understand that, but as a result of his gambling on baseball, Rose was placed on the permanently ineligible list, which means that he can never work for Major League Baseball again and never be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Also on the permanently ineligible list is Shoeless Joe Jackson, another of the greatest players of all time, along with 7 of his teammates on the 1919 Chicago White Sox, who were banned for conspiring with gamblers to throw the 1919 World Series. If only Shoeless Joe and Pete Rose and those other guys banned forever for gambling on baseball had been guilty of a lesser crime, like using steroids, or leaping into the stands to brutally beat a handicapped fan, or stabbing a night watchman who stepped in when he saw you slapping an elevator operator around. Yeah, that's Ty Cobb, for those of you who don't know. Cobb was sort of the early 20th century version of Pete Rose. He and Pete actually have a lot in common in terms of the way they play the game. Cobb was one of the best ever. In fact, that all-time hits record that Pete broke in 1985, that was Cobb's. But unlike Pete Rose, Ty Cobb wasn't an idiot. He was just more sort of evil. He was also one of the first 5 players elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame when it opened in 1936. See, evil baseball can handle, but gambling, forget about it. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.